We're gonna, there's three more members. We're gonna give them just a minute or two to hustle over here. Just as an FYI, I know it seems like a technicality, but we are, um, the meeting was called upon adjournment of the Senate, and they haven't officially adjourned. And so we need to, I think, be hypersensitive of that technicality. And I'm being told that we should adjourn here shortly. Jason is going. Senator Howe is going to be our timekeeper, so it should just be shortly. Does everybody really like being here at 7:35 at night? I missed that. What? Okay, so we have been apprised that the Senate has adjourned so that we can officially start our meeting. This is the Senate Standing Committee on Licensing and Occupations. Today is March 12th, 2025. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong, Senator Berg, Senator Douglas,
Present.
Senator Higdon, Senator Howell, Senator Mays Bledsoe, Senator McDaniel, Senator Meredith, Senator Nemus,
Present.
Senator Nunn, Chair Rocky Adams.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum. We are duly constituted to do business this evening. And the first item on our agenda is House Bill 90. We have a sub on House Bill 90. Do I have a motion to adopt the sub? Yes. Okay. Stand down, please, just for a moment. No. Okay, now we're good to go. So today is March 12th, 2025. This is the Senate Standing Committee on Licensing and Occupations. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong. Senator Berg. Senator Douglas.
Present.
Senator Higdon. Senator Howell. Senator Mays Bledsoe. Senator McDaniel. Senator Meredith.
Present.
Senator Nemus.
Still present.
Senator Nunn. Chair Rocky Adams.
Here. Okay, thank you. We have a quorum and we are duly constituted to do business. First item on our agenda is House Bill 90. And we have a sub on House Bill 90. Do I have a motion to adopt the sub? All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, the sub is before us. So welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record and proceed.
Jason Nemus, House District 33. That's Jefferson, Oldham, and Shelby counties.
And I'm Mary Catherine DeLoder with the Kentucky Birth Coalition. And regarding the birth center portion of this bill, I want to say this has been before licensing and occupations many times, but this is the first time that it has been in front of this committee under the current chairperson, who happens to be my senator. And so I just wanted to be sure to say thank you to you because you've always been a great supporter of this initiative, and you are the reason that I got connected with Representative Nemus over 5 years ago that we've been working on this, and also the reason I got connected with Senator Funky Fromeyer carrying the Senate companion for the birthing center bill. So thank you very much for that, and I'll let Representative Nemus handle everything else.
I would just say, Madam Chairwoman, that the provisions of the birthing center are the exact same as they were in Senator Funky Fromeyer's bill, Senate Bill 17. So if it would please the committee, then we'll ask some other folks to come up to testify about the committee sub.
Please. And just introduce yourself for the record. And I think that we have a PowerPoint. Is that correct? I've been told.
We can introduce while doing that.
I'm State Representative Nancy Tate, and I represent District 27, which is Meade and Hardin counties.
Kim Mosier, State Representative of the 64th District.
And Dr. Goldberg is on Zoom.
Oh, you already introduced me. He was there.
So Dr. Jeffrey Goldberg is on Zoom. He is an OBGYN in Jefferson County.
Kentucky ACOG.
Kentucky
Right.
ACOG.
Kentucky ACOG.
Thank
Right.
you.
Sorry, there was a brief hiccup in the internet. I apologize, I can't be there in person, but I appreciate the opportunity to appear via Zoom. Dr. Jeffrey Goldberg, I'm a gynecologic oncologist in Louisville, and I'm the legislative advocacy chair for the Kentucky section of the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists.
So the
Adil,
excuse me, sorry, I'm ready to jump right in there.
I know, let's get going.
Adil, I know it's been long.
Everybody wants to go home.
I know. Adil Worcester, registered maternal health neonatal nurse and executive director for Kentucky Right to Life.
Okay, please proceed.
All right. So the committee's, first of all, Chair Adams and members of the committee, I sincerely appreciate the opportunity for you to hear this committee sub. You know, the perinatal palliative care, as this part of this bill is actually to make sure that whenever women, expected women that are in the situation where they have less than a perfect pregnancy, where they and their family can actually get the financial, spiritual, emotional assistance that they need. And then also we've worked directly with ACOG, and so to make sure that there was some clarifying language from the pro-life bills that we have passed in the past. And so in order to make sure, you know, and for the sake of time, I'm going to let everybody else speak, and then we'll answer any questions that you might have.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Dr. Goldberg and I, first of all, have collaborated on this and worked with all the members here. So we want to first thank the committee. Want to thank Representative Mosier, Representative Nemus, and Representative Tate. And all those have, as we've come together so that we could put forward some of the issues that of concern that have continued to since the passing of legislation protecting life of the unborn children in Kentucky, but to affirm what can be done. And so I think the easiest way to explain this is that put into this bill, into the committee sub, you'll find that it basically aligns as what is not an abortion. What is not an abortion. And in lighting that, we're going to go over those medical cases and medical procedures that are much necessary to protect a woman's life and to assure her when there are cases that are aligned that those proper diagnosis and the care is aligned here. So I'm going to quickly move through. The committee sub outlines medical conditions and complications that are not abortions under Kentucky statutes. We've heard much concern over miscarriage management, ectopic pregnancies, molar pregnancies, sepsis and hemorrhage, and also sometimes even when there's a stillbirth, when the child is not alive and needs to be removed from the uterine cavity. So I'm going to let Dr. Goldberg talk to this, but if you look at the committee sub, in this committee sub, we're addressing these and establishing these, that in this case, this is not an abortion. This is medical care that needs to take place in the Commonwealth. So, Dr. Goldberg, I think maybe at this point you want to speak from the medical aspects of this.
Sure, thank you. First of all, I want to thank Representative Nemes and the other people seated at the table for helping to address these issues. This really arose out of the fact that there were many ambiguities created in the laws, both leading up to restricting abortion prior to the Dobbs decision, and then once the trigger ban went into effect. And these conversations that we've had recently really have nothing to do with elective abortion, other than dealing with the unintended consequences of legislation surrounding elective abortion. Unfortunately, because these laws were crafted by people who might not have understood the nuances of conditions that most people have never heard of, things like gestational trophoblastic neoplasia, premature preterm rupture of membranes, or other things that are very common obstetrical complications, again, have nothing to do with elective pregnancy termination, but because of the way the laws were written, created barriers, some perceived and some very real, to the treatment of women with these common complications of pregnancy. And I think there's been a lot of publicity over issues that we disagree on related to elective abortion access. But what we've chosen to focus on is something that we all agree on, which is that women who are pregnant, who have desired pregnancies, and who want optimal evidence-based care for complicated pregnancies deserve to have that care, and yet for a variety of reasons are not able to access that care in this state. We are constrained by the fact that we do not have a legislature that meets continuously. We were working within a 30-day session, and we had to run up against some realities of many things that need to be fixed and some things that needed to be fixed right away. I don't want anybody to leave the room today thinking that this is a conclusion to this process, whether it's the start of what will need to be a very long process. There are actually many, many, many conditions that have been affected by our current statutes. It's simply impossible to enumerate them all. And frankly, if we tried, another one would occur that nobody ever thought of before. But nonetheless, we have at least come up with some of the most glaring barriers to care that have been faced by my colleagues over the last couple of years operating in the current legal environment. And we're hopeful to get at least some initial changes in statute that will remove the conflicts that physicians are facing between, on the one hand, trying to do what they know is right for their patient based on what the medical evidence dictates, and at the same time, their fear of being accused of a felony, being caught up in current statutes that were never intended by the legislature to cover things other than elective pregnancy termination.
Okay, any more?
I think we're prepared for questions.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any questions? Okay, seeing none, Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong.
May I explain my vote, Madam Chair? May I explain my vote?
Oh, yes.
Okay. I'm going to pass for now. I thought I was walking into a meeting to vote on freestanding birthing. Really enthusiastic to do this. And I'm just now realizing that there's a lot more content in the bill. And I'm sure this was sent in an email probably this morning, but I've been in committee meetings and nonstop since 8:30, and I've not had a chance to review it. I do know that last session, the perinatal palliative care language, I had some concerns around that. I love hearing that ACOG is supportive of this language, but I really need to do my homework on this. There's a lot of information that I need to digest here. And I will say, I think this speaks to why we need to make our committee subs publicly available, so that folks can reach out to us and give us feedback, because it's really tough for us when we're getting these subs on the day of and they have a lot of important content to digest, and we're not able to get that feedback from people and really be able to understand. And it's hard to cast a vote in those circumstances. So there are enough sort of red flags up for me that I hope are wrong. I hope that there are no red flags here, and it's just my spidey sense being activated, but I need to look this over more, so I'm going to pass for.
Senator Berg. Explain my pass vote.
Please proceed.
You know, so much of the confusion here is because non-medical people are trying to make medical decisions. So, ma'am, when you say that we're talking about abortions that aren't abortions, they are abortions. The definition of an abortion is the termination of a pregnancy prior to viability. You can talk about spontaneous abortions. You can talk about elective abortions. You can talk about emergent abortions. They're still all abortions. And when you're talking in medical terms, you're confusing people when you say these aren't abortions when they are abortions. This misspeak that is so confusing and in part leads to the chaos that the bills that you all have brought forth and passed in this state have caused for my healthcare providers. So to this day, you don't have your terminology correct. And that causes a lot of confusion. To say that this bill is sponsored by ACOG is a misnomer. That is not true. That what is in this bill is not endorsed by the National Association of College for Obstetrics and Gynecologists. This is a makeshift attempt at fixing problems that we ourselves made by passing bad legislation to begin with.
Senator Berg, please wrap it up.
I think we should take more time in fixing it than we did in passing it. Thank you. I'm going to change my pass to a no.
Senator Douglas.
Aye, but explain my vote.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, Madam Chair, I agree. There is confusion between medical, legal, and common terms. But that confusion is more than just confusion. It's fear. It's fear. I think this bill is a really, really good start. And the one thing I learned, having qualified for the Olympic trials twice, is if you never start, you'll never make it to the finish line. So I want to thank you all very much.
Senator Higdon. Senator Howell. Senator Mays Bledsoe. Senator McDaniel.
Aye.
Senator Meredith. Senator Nemus.
Aye.
Senator Nunn. Chair Rocky Adams.
Aye. And I want to say thank you all for being here today. Senate Bill 90, as amended by committee sub, passes with favorable expression. And I believe we need a title amendment. Do I have a motion?
Second.
And I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the title amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. The title amendment is adopted. So great work. This is such a great clarification on all of these issues, and I appreciate your diligence and being here and being so patient. It's so late.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Okay, next up on our agenda is House Bill 398. This is sponsored by Representative Walker Thomas, an act relating to occupational safety and health. We have, please come to the table, introduce yourself for the record.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate y'all being here so late. I'm Walker Thomas. I represent the 8th District, which is down in far western Kentucky, parts of Christian County, parts of Trigg, and all of Caldwell.
I'm still Jason Nemus, 33rd District, Jefferson, Oldham, Shelby counties.
Charles All, Kentucky Chamber of Commerce.
Okay, thank you for being here. We do have a sub on this bill. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the sub signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, we have the sub before us. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members, for hearing this measure. I want to thank Chair Adams for sponsoring the committee sub. The sub was done with input from many interested parties and is a compromise from both sides. They say a bill is a good bill when either side doesn't get all they want. So when I took office in January of 2017, our leadership decided to take bold measures to transform this Commonwealth to one of the most business-friendly climates in the country. This bill just shows our commitment to the business community while not jeopardizing the safety of our great employees that make.
I have a motion and a second on the bill. Do I have any questions? Senator Armstrong?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this bill, as I understand it, means that Kentucky cannot promulgate or any new regulations that would be stricter than the federal requirements under OSHA or enforce any existing regulations that are stricter than federal OSHA. What happens if federal OSHA goes away?
Yeah, I'm happy to take that. This is obviously it's difficult to answer a theoretical question. This is something that would affect presumably all 50 states. We currently do have a lot of regulations already on the books, and so presumably those regulations would essentially apply at that point. I would
just
think.
go back to them.
Can I clarify just very quickly, Madam Chair?
Please.
Is it accurate to say, and if not, please tell me specifically why, is it accurate to say that we would then have no workplace safety regulations in the state of Kentucky?
Kentucky would actually be in a more fortunate position in the event that would happen in comparison to other states because we are a state plan state. We currently have an apparatus that would enforce regulations. We have the capacity to create new regulations, and that would put us in a position to cover those things. Other states that are not state plan states might be less well positioned to do that in comparison to Kentucky, but because we are a state plan state, we would have that capacity.
We are not doing away with Kentucky OSHA. It's still in place.
And some states are getting rid of their OSHA. We're not doing that. We wouldn't do that if federal OSHA goes away, which it won't. But if it does, then we will immediately come back and make sure that we have all the tools in place. I think they're there, but to the extent they're not, we'll put them back in place. We're not trying to reduce the protections at all.
Senator Nemus?
Has there been a problem with Kentucky's regulations that differ from the feds?
As far as I know, there's not been any problems. We're just trying to make it more uniform for the businesses that might have multiple locations in multiple states, so they can look at one set of regulations and know where they stand.
Another question, please.
Please proceed.
The way I see it, this is us giving away states' rights. We right now have to go by the feds on we can't be less restrictive. That'll still be whether this bill passes or not. But right now we do have the right as a state to be more restrictive if we want. But with this bill we will not be able to do that. We'll have to follow what the feds say. Is that correct?
That is, we would be following the Fed's framework right now.
And we would not be able to change that.
There, I think, and help me if I'm wrong here, there's a petition process that you can petition, I believe, the feds and get something actually implemented if you need it.
Well, we can do that now. We can make it more restrictive if we want now without petitioning, because it's a law that we can, and that's what you're taking away from ourselves.
Senator, if I may, the General Assembly would still have any capacity that it so preferred to continue to create laws that would exceed this. The bill as written applies to the administrative regulatory process, not the statutory process. And so in the event that the General Assembly wanted to have a more robust conversation around these types of rules, then it would do that. And there's nothing.
But we're not having that robust conversation. And we can make it more restrictive or not. If we don't like the ones that are more restrictive, we can stop that now. But with this bill, we can't until we come back in session and change the laws again to go back to saying that we can. It's a point, and you can't argue it, that we do have a right to make it more restrictive. And there are reasons why we might want to do that. But with this law, we will not be able to do that. So we are giving that right up, at least until, as you were alluded to, come back and change that.
Yeah, I think I would say it a different way, Senator. I see what you're saying. We're not giving anything up. What we're doing is we're saying it's a legislative question, not an executive question. So if we're going to have more strict requirements from the state, that's going to be a legislative policy, not a policy from the administrative state.
Well, then I'll dicker with that because.
Rep.
All right, I'll shut up then.
Okay. Senator Berg.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And Representative Nemes, you said something. I just want to clarify that I understood you correctly. Are you saying that if we pass this and OSHA does go away, which at this point is a real possibility, half the Department of Education went away yesterday, and we expect the other half to go away next week. Occupational safety and health could very well go away on the federal level. Are we going to have to call a special session to come back and implement state regulations at that point?
Yeah.
That's what we'd have to do.
No. I was
and
saying,
in the meantime, we wouldn't have any coverage?
No, that's not what I said.
Okay,
great. I disagree with the premise of the question. OSHA is not going away. Many Republicans have run at the national level on getting rid of the Department of Education for decades. No one has ever said they want to get rid of occupational safety health standards. Nobody. It's not going away. No one ran on it. Trump ran on getting rid of the Department of Education. So equating the two is not right. OSHA is not going anywhere. So I don't even want to entertain that question, because then people are gonna go around and say to our public, well, they're going to get rid of the OSHA federally, and then we're not going to have any protections in the state. First of all, that's not right. But OSHA is going nowhere. If something happens, which it's not going to,
okay,
but if it does, then we'll come back immediately. We will have protections in place.
We'll have to call a
We'll come
special
back
section.
and make it more robust, but it's not going anywhere. So for the public, I don't want to be misquoted here. OSHA is not going anywhere. Nobody's talking about getting rid of OSHA. So to equate it with the Department of Education is completely unfounded.
All right. Do I have any further questions? Okay. Seeing none, we have a motion and a second on the sub. Do I have a motion on House Bill 398 as amended by committee? All right. Oh, yeah. We already had that. Motion and a second. Gosh, it's late. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong.
May I explain my no vote, Madam Chair?
Please.
I agree. I am really concerned that we are giving away our ability to address Kentucky problems with Kentucky tools. If we know things about particular industries that lead us to understand how to better protect our workers, by golly, we should be doing that. And I worry that in this legislation, we are giving away our ability to meet the needs of our people in our workplaces. And I agree with Senator Nemes. I think it's a states' rights issue. And so for that reason, I'm going to vote no.
Senator Berg. Senator Douglas.
Aye.
Senator Higdon. Senator Howe. Senator Mays Bledsoe. Senator McDaniel.
Aye.
Senator Meredith. Senator Nemes.
No.
Senator Nunn. Chair Rocky Adams.
Pass. Okay, House Bill 398 as amended by committee sub passes 8-3. Okay, next up on the agenda, we have House Bill 580. This is an act relating to alcohol and drug counselors. This is sponsored by Representative Mosier. Introduce yourselves for the record and please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, committee. We will keep this as brief as possible and explain the bill. I am Kim Mosier, State Representative, 64th District.
Good evening, Chairwoman and members of the committee. My name is Elena Sweezy, and I'm with Lane 13 Consulting.
Okay. House Bill 580 is putting additional structure and training and supervision around peer support specialists. We passed House Bill 505 last year to implement some requirements of peer support specialists, and these folks are an entry-level counselor, if you will, in the treatment of substance use disorders. And all we're trying to do is make sure that all of these folks fall under the oversight and supervision of the Alcohol and Drug Board. We do need to come back and fix the board next year. We've already talked about this, but for right now, there were some issues with the numbers of patients served in a group setting, and so we're limiting those numbers to 8. We are adding some additional hours of supervision, and we are scaling back the amount of time that a peer support specialist can be a temporary peer support specialist to 9 months. We feel that they should be able to get their 40 hours of training finished and completed in that time, and that's really what the bill does.
Motion on the bill.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any questions? All right, seeing none. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong. Senator Berg.
I and thank you, because this has really been a problem for at certain places and certain institutions in this state. It needs to be clarified. Thank you.
Senator Douglas.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Senator Higdon. Senator Howell. Senator Mays Bledsoe. Senator McDaniel.
Cast my vote and explain, Madam Chair.
Please.
I'm going to cast an aye vote, but I want to cast it with a cautionary note. And this is something that I said in Appropriations and Revenue today. The expansion that we have seen in the substance use disorder billing codes inside of the Medicaid system have been tremendous. And there have been alleged abuses in lots of places. The fact is, there's no way that the numbers are going the way they are without some level of abuse. And so I would hope you would take it back to your organization and to your peers. The attention of the body is on substance use disorder treatments and counselings. It will stay there. And I can promise to any of them that think otherwise, if they think, we want you there. We want you to support these people. We want these people to get better and be productive members of society and be productive family people and so on and so forth. But those we catch abusing will not like the outcome, and I can promise them all that. So thank you. Please take that back. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Meredith. Senator Nemes.
Aye.
Senator Nunn. Chair Rocky Adams.
Aye. And House Bill 580 passes with favorable expression. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
And okay, next up, House Bill 87, an act relating to employment. The sponsor is Representative Callaway. Please introduce yourself for the record.
I'm State Representative Emily Callaway. I represent portions of Jefferson and Bullitt County.
Please proceed.
House Bill 87 has to do with occupational licensing. Right now, Kentucky has about 20% of its workforce is licensed occupations. We've got about 95,000 unemployed individuals. 1 in 3 of those are disqualified because of felony on their record. So I refer to them as second chance citizens. We want to put them back to work, those who want to work. And that's what this bill does, reduce some barriers, continue momentum that Kentucky has displayed in the last few years.
I have a motion on the bill and a second. Do I have any questions? All right, seeing none, Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong. Senator Berg.
When I first got here, we train EMTs, and then when they get released, they're not allowed to work. I mean, this is the type of thing, if we really want workforce, we really want to expand opportunities and choices and give people a way to move forward. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Senator Douglas.
Aye.
Senator Higdon. Senator Howell. Senator Mays Bledsoe.
Vote and explain.
Please.
I vote aye, and I think the bill sponsor, we've been working on this for a while. Maybe this is the year. Thanks.
Senator McDaniel.
Aye.
Senator Meredith, Senator Nemus,
Aye.
Senator Nunn, Chair Rocky Adams.
Aye. All right, thank you. House Bill 87 passes with favorable expression. Thank you. And last is House Bill 422. This is an act relating to administrative regulations, sponsored by Representative Lewis. Please introduce yourself for the record.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Derek Lewis, State Representative, 90th District.
Please proceed.
I know I'm the last one keeping you all from dinner, so this is very straightforward. I went to staff earlier in session, and they brought back a 64-page bill of their wish list to make their lives easier. It streamlines the reg process, reduces paperwork.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any questions? All right, seeing none, Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong. Senator Berg.
Aye.
Senator Douglas.
Aye.
Senator Higdon. Senator Howe. Senator Mays Bledsoe. Senator McDaniel. Senator Meredith. Senator Nemus.
Aye.
Senator Nunn. Chair Rocky Adams.
Aye. All right, House Bill 422 passes with favorable expression. Is there any more business to come before the committee? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All right, we are adjourned.